you do not have to have a massive library full of licks in your head in order to play great guitar solos. As a matter of fact, we're going to put on a backing track at the end, and I'm going to show you how you can take 3 very simple lick ideas and be able to play, pretty much over any song that you want with just these 3 simple licks without it getting repetitive and boring. So let's dive in. All right, so we're going to be doing this in the key of A, but you can do this in any key because I'm going to be playing it inside the box, and so the box is movable anywhere. I'm going to come up here to where I would play my bar chord A, and I'm going to play this pattern, and that gives me my minor pentatonic blues scale. So it's just 8-5 on the E string, 8-5 on the B string, 8-7-5 on the G string, and then 7 on the D string. That's the only part of this box I'm going to be using, is this right here. And I can come up, there's infinite number of licks that you can come up with, but I've come up with like just 3 really simple licks that I tend to play all the time. And I'm going to show you how you can like tweak them just a little bit. It's still the same lick, and not get repetitive and boring with it, because one of the things that we often do is, we play the same lick over and over and over again, and it starts kind of sounding monotonous. But there are ways that you can take these licks, just tweak them slightly, still the same lick, and be able, to make it sound different. All right, so the first lick that I want to do takes just the end of that little pentatonic run. It's just 8-7-5 on the G string, and then 7 here on the D string. So, that's just a really simple lick, because if you're used to running, the minor pentatonic box, then, this should be an easy lick. And one thing I'm a huge fan of is being able to play sort of repetitive licks, because one thing I want you to understand is you don't have to string 20, 30 different licks together in order to get a guitar solo. You can take one lick and kind of repeat it over and over in different ways, and you can get some really neat sounds out of just one lick. So one way that I can repeat this lick is just go 8-7-5 over and over again. So I might do this, and when I'm ready to get out of it, then I hit my 7th fret on the D string. So that's just one lick that I can repeat over and over again, kind of fill up space, because I really like that lick and I want to be able to use it. And I can just repeat it over and over for as long as I need to, and then when I'm ready to get out of it, then go to my root note. Now, another way that you can play this lick, instead of hitting them each individually, one of the things that you can do is bend up to it. So I might bend up to that note. So I'm starting on the 7th fret, bending that up, releasing it, and then finishing the lick. So if I put that on repeat, it would sound like this. And that sounds different than playing it the other way, but this is still the same lick to me as the other one was. But instead of hitting them individually, now I'm just bending it up to that note, and I can play that on repeat. Another way that I can do this same lick is, instead of hitting them independently or bending, I can slide up to that note. So I can still start here on the 7th, I can slide up to the 8th, back to the 7th, and I can put this on repeat. So that's 3 different ways to play the same exact lick. It's still the same exact notes, but those 3 different ways to play that lick, either using a bend or a slide, now we've kind of taken that one lick and we're able to kind of change it and dress it up so that now it'll sound different when we're playing. Another lick that I really like is, this is kind of like a Chuck Berry type lick that you would hear in Johnny Be Good, and that's to bend here on the 7th fret of the G string, and then lay your finger flat on the 5th fret of the B and the E and just hit those. on repeat. So, and there's different ways that I can do this as well. Now, one of the things that people, I don't know why they think this way, but they think, well, I've got to play everything super clean on the guitar. But that's not always the case, and that's not always best, especially when it comes to things like, blues and rock. Sometimes playing it dirty and not, super clean is a way to go. So one thing I might do is just to kind of strum all of these together. I'm still going to be bending this note. I'm still going to be laying my finger flat here on the 5th fret, but I'm just going to kind of strum them all together. So now we've got that kind of dirty sound. And you can put that on repeat as well. Still the same lick, just a different way to play it. Now, instead of hitting this E string with it, I can just bend this and hit this B string right here, 5th fret on the B string. So that, kind of sounds more like that Chuck Berry lick. And what I'm doing there is I'm just not hitting that E string, but I'm still laying it there in case I want to go up there and hit it. And then I can mix that together with my first lick to kind of get out of this loop as well. Bending up and going down to my root note, the 7th fret on the D string. So that's kind of a way you can start stringing these licks together. And all I've done is kind of put that on repeat. And then when I'm ready to get out of it, I go back to my first lick. And then we'll call this lick number 3. It's just this. We're going to go 5-8 on the B string and then 5 on the E string. And again, this is repetitive. You can play this in a circle over and over. Now, in order to get out of this, what I want to do, again, is kind of hit my root note. So I can either come back and play lick number 1 again, or I would kind of hit that twice in order to kind of stop that loop, and it would sound like this. I can just stay there and hit that note again, and that kind of gets me out of that loop. But there's another way to hit that note, and that would be to bend this 8th fret up to that note. So that 8th fret on the B string, I can just bend up until I hit my root note, and that would sound like this. So that's another way to hit the exact same note. Remember, it's just to bend. And remember, we also have a slide. So another way to get out of that would be to slide from 8 to 10 on the B string, and that can get me out as well. All right, now this bending up to this note, hitting this note, and sliding up to the note, and still hitting that A note. I'm still hitting this, but it's 3 different ways to hit that, and that can be a lick in itself. Just the getting out of that box can be a lick, so it might sound like this. So I'm still using that lick, bending up to that note, hitting that note, and then sliding up to that note. But to me, that's still kind of the same lick as I was doing before. I can just kind of keep hitting that that lick that I was using to get out of that repetitive circle. What we're going to do is I'm going to throw on a backing track, and I'm just going to kind of play these in different rhythms, in different ways. I might not start on the downbeat. I might start, kind of a syncopated off the beat, but all I'm going to be using is exactly the 3 licks or variations thereof of what we've already talked about. That's all I'm going to use in this solo is just those 3 licks. So let's put on the backing track. All right, first lick, here we go. Now I'll play the second lick. Changing up the rhythm a little bit. Now the third lick. Second lick. How about that first lick again, but slide it. So I hope that you see that you can take some really simple ideas, just some of these repetitive licks, some of the licks you already know, just kind of string them together, learn to play them in different ways, tweak them slightly, and all of a sudden, you can play lots of different solos that aren't boring and repetitive with just some very simple ideas. So I really hope this helps. And as always, if you need something, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you.